Dearly redheaded, we are choosing consciousness today to get through this thing called grief. Interesting word, grief. It means love, which makes for a mighty good joke. But I'm here to tell you, there's nothing else. Just joy. And if the big picture tends to bring you down, go crazy once your life goes. Woo!
Okay, your particular son is, and we have the luxury of knowing one another a long time, and we have been able to say things about our sons to one another that, we don't have boundaries on what we can say about one another's children based on their experience, and that's been very helpful. Where I feel your son has bouts of self-awareness, but they just don't stabilize. So he said to me, and I'm just going to remind you, he said to me a couple of years ago, I don't remember if he asked me. Yeah, he did. It was a question. He asked me if his grandfather and father hated him. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And I said to him, they hate themselves. That was my answer. And I realized that in addition to all that he had been through, he was also being scapegoated by these men because he was the problem. Do you know what I mean?
Right. He had a job to do.
Right. And he was judged on that job.
Yes.
Which meant he had to hate you.
Correct.
Do you want to talk about how hard it is still, or the upside of where you're at?
I would like to share that even though, where I had said previously where I wouldn't give up. Like when I, wasn't, allowed to have him physically, that I never missed a game. I never missed a practice. I never missed a school event. I never missed anything. I was there. I was present. I was, and there would be eye contact, but that was all I needed. And I think all he needed, my son, to know that I was still there, whether it was conscious or unconscious, where I had made a deal with him when he was probably 12, because I would be at an event where we would all be together in public, and at the end of a baseball game, say, and I would want to go congratulate him, and I was told, it's not your parenting time. It's not your, I can't even, hug my son after a win because it's not on my time. I'm doing little air quotes here. So, I had the tough conversation with my son because I loved him. And I said, is it easier for you if I just stay back and not, make this difficult for you? And he said yes. So we had an agreement at a very young age, vulnerable age, that I just wanted to make it easier for him.
Right.
That I could handle the pain, and that to me, it was just, I needed to make things easier for him because I saw how difficult his father made his life.
Right. And he had convinced the father had convinced the community that you were a beast.
Right. And that, and that I knew that making this deal with my son to make it easier for him, that I was going to be looked at like everything my ex portrayed me as. Because after a game, I would just get up and leave. After any kind of situation, I would just get up and leave.
Yeah.
It was hard, but
Yeah.
I sacrificed myself for my child because that's what you do when you love your child.
But again, you'd always go. You'd sit alone.
Yep. Yeah. Had no ties to the community, no, yeah, no, there were a few, I must say, there were a few, including you, but there were a few men and women in the community that saw through the bullshit and that, supported me.
Yeah.
So that helped a
I
lot.
I don't remember who. I don't remember who it was, but I remember people. I mean, the same thing happened to me. People come through and they give you a tidbit.
Yep.
And people, those who knew. I remember you telling a story.
Exactly.
I remember you telling a story, and I'm not, if you don't remember it, but somebody at a party approached you, and you even said to me once you knew that your former mother-in-law got it, and your former mother-in-law and her new relationship, you felt had support for you, but also had to distance themselves from you to be able to, for her to have any relationship with her son.
And grandson. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, this stuff is tearing people apart.
Right. Yeah.
This was.
Go
ahead.
No, I was just thinking about I'm pacing now.
Oh, honey, I'm so sorry.
It was hard being in a very small community and knowing that all these lies have been told about me and that people thought they knew who I was. And, I just had to freaking stand there and, be judged, knowing full right that I was not what all these people thought I was. And, it was like I was, like some kind of, I don't know.
What? Say it.
Cancer is a strong word. I don't want to use that word. But,
Well, you
it
felt
was
like
just difficult.
You felt like it.
Well, yeah. Yeah. In the way, stories were told. And, I remember a friend, our boys were in kindergarten. And, my son and my ex went to this other boy's birthday party, and all the men are standing, how that usually goes. Like the men are all hanging out, the women are all hanging out. And around the men circle, my ex, who doesn't know anybody because we had just moved there and put our kid in the school, was telling men around the freaking fire pit how, you know, how awful I was and how I did these things and to him and all these horrible, horrible things. And these men were just like,
Eating it up.
the hell, like, they were like, we don't even know this guy.
Oh, I'm
And he's
sorry.
like,
Okay.
yeah, like we don't even know this guy, and he is like oversharing. Like, and they were like, well, dude, did you like call CPS? Like, dude, like, and no, none of that ever happened.
So you were at the same party?
No,
You
no,
heard
it was
you
not
heard
my.
about it.
Yes, because the person having the party was also, a friend of mine because our kids were friends.
Got it.
But it wasn't, I guess, my time with my son, so I didn't take him to the party. But yeah, that was enlightening.
Well, but you also, and what I was alluding to, you also had a number of men that ate it up, and
Oh yeah,
he would have coaches that would
yes,
just believe him. I mean, you weren't allowed to keep his baseball equipment
right,
if your
yeah,
ex wasn't there. It couldn't go home
right,
with you.
and my ex coached every single team
Ah,
my kid was on.
good to mention. Good
Yes,
to mention.
control, 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 control. Yep, yep.
Yeah.
So, I remember him getting hurt one time and me running down to the dugout and being told by my ex and another coach to please leave, like we got this, you know, like
What was the scenario when I met you?
oh Lord. Yeah.
Can we go there?
Yes, yes. So I was not allowed to have like the uniform, the equipment, anything. So that my son had to get to the field on my time. I would bring him to the field. He would get into his dad's car, change into his uniform, get his equipment, and then go to the field and play. So at the end of the game, um, my son refused to come
Home with you.
back with me. Yes, yes. And he was supposed to go into the car and change his uniform and all. And I said, can we just leave? Like, there's no reason you really need to really do this. Like, you're just in your uniform, give your dad your equipment and let's go. And he was so trained and brainwashed into what needed to happen and what the rules were that he absolutely lost his mind, my son. And his father sat there right next to him, applauding him for losing his mind and not wanting to, you know, listen to what I'm saying and break the rules. And I had to call the police, and I called you, and you came to the field. And then by this point, it's just my car, his car, your car, and the police car. Everybody else had gone. And it was a whole big
I remember that fucking
the whole
cop,
big
man.
scene.
I remember that fucking cop.
Yeah. And we got him in the car. The cop gave my son his card. Like, said, like, if you need me, call me or something.
I remember the troopers were there and the locals were there.
Yes.
And I remember that the locals or the troopers deferred to the locals. And the local cop, I reamed. And I subsequently found out that he was going through a custody battle. Do you remember that? Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So he had decided that and I had been drinking. I don't know if you know that, which ironically sometimes gave me the ability to be even more on point.
Yeah.
So he had already decided that was going home with his father, and I said, "Oh no, that's not what's going to happen."
Right.
And he's going home with her. It's her time, whatever, whatever. And I remember the two of you came back to my house and just chilled. And then, so was that before the court? Yeah, it was. That was before the court. Had to be. It couldn't have been after. He wouldn't have gotten away with that.
Right. Right. This was when we were still week to week. Yes.
Man.
Because
Yeah,
we had to put in court papers that the equipment traveled with the child. Like, it was just ridiculous. The amount of stuff that was supposedly agreed upon in a custody hearing. Like, it was just nuts. And, you know, in my family, my brother had bought my son catcher's equipment. And I said, I still don't have the equipment to this day. And I'm like, I want the equipment.
well, this is how covert abuse works, because the brain will choose what's familiar.
Control, control, control.
All right, let's go back to the adult man, young adult man that he is, and I want to talk about it selfishly because I'm proud of him, but I want you to say, he has excellent perspective on it, but it still dictates his decisions.
Yes. Yes. It's still, I want to say, like, annoys me. It still makes me sad that he's still so involved with someone who ruined his childhood, who, you know, took advantage of him and abused him and used him, and he was a pawn. You know, doesn't really know what, you know, what a father's love should be, but either did his father.
Right. And they take it out on others, and in your son's case, he takes it out on himself.
Right.
Was very self-critical, very, very angry. Yes.
Yes.
And he's not at a point where he's questioning that yet.
No, but we've had some discussions. And I think it was because of knowing that we were going to have this conversation.
Oh, okay.
Conversations. You know, that we both need to heal from the trauma that was inflicted upon us. You know, that hasn't happened. You know, like, I've gotten through a lot of it because I'm me, but he's, you know, still in the thick of it. And I can't heal, I think, until, like, he's a little bit more on track with things.
I get
Because
that.
you know what I mean?
Well,
like,
him, your parents, your parents are both on their last legs.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm in a different mindset because and I'm hedging now. I'm in a very different mindset where my boys are concerned, because your son's awareness is greater.
Yeah,
but
he had an awakening, and I'm not sure, you know, how that happened. And I don't know if you want to save that for another conversation, his awakening.
I don't know what you mean.
Oh, when he came to me as, I think, a junior in high school, and
Oh, okay, yeah. Speak to that.
we were just having dinner. You know, I always, you know, made great dinners for us and stuff, and we were just having dinner, and he just freaking opened up, like erupted like a volcano about how, you know, he got it. He got it, and he doesn't understand his father and why things happened and how his father treated him. And I mean, it was like 2.5 hours of him pacing in our kitchen, revealing things to me that just blew me away, of how he said it just, something just clicked. And I just was like, and he said it was like, something just clicked. And he was like, this doesn't seem right. And this doesn't add up. And this doesn't add up. And this doesn't add up. And he just clicked. I mean, and there was a point where, you know, although I couldn't convince him to, go to court and ask for me to have custody of him. But for me, it was just knowing that he knew, what a sad, sad situation it was with his father. And, the many, many years that, this abuse took place, and how, it affected my relationship with my son. And, and he just came clean. And he said, he goes, I will never, if I ever have children, and when I have children, if I ever get divorced, at least I know how not to be.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, I'm going to hold you to that. Yeah, and it got very, he had some heated arguments where I had to go meet him and pick him up and bring him back to my house. And he was a young man. He was 16 because he was driving. And, I was afraid for him.
I know you still are.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're concerned.
Well, the control is still going on. It's ridiculous. But
yeah, and whoa. I want to say about 7 things. One thing that you and I discussed years ago when we would compare notes is how vastly different it was to have in this case a father, but it could be a mother, be interested versus disinterested. I was responding to somebody disinterested, or at least apparently disinterested, so I would fight for their connection, which was fucked up.
Right.
You had a terribly interested, disordered ex-partner. That right there in and of itself. I also want to say, let me see if I can get it back, because I wrote it down. Oh, fuck. You're not swearing, Jersey. Say fuck. Don't disappoint people.
Okay. Oh, I'll get there.
Oh. And I wrote this down in a way that I should have written it clearer. You have shared with me that he will share with you that one of the ways he keeps it even with his father is when his father's getting something out of it, the son will say, well, this is what I can get out of it then. And he plays this rationalization game that even though he's fucking me, and I know he's fucking me, I'm getting this out of it.
Yes.
And I see that, and there's one of my family relationships that you probably know, the one that mirrors this, and I never fucking realized how tightly it mirrored it till I went to take notes.
Yep.
I have got the same relationship within nothing to do with me.
Yep.
And this kid bleeds out for his father.
Yep.
So you want to give a specific example, or that was close enough? We don't have to get specific, but I think I explained it and you agreed, so we know what's going on. And Brian's shaking his head, and he knows I need that because I don't always know if I'm connecting the fucking dots. But I think the dots are connected. So they justify
connector.
And that can be money, that can be gifts, that can be it can be whatever it is. I think very often
Right.
with fathers, it is money. And I think, unfortunately, with mothers, it's become money. So it's,
Well, can I share something that happened last night?
of course.
Okay. So last night, I talked to my son because we were still you know, just chatting away. He had schoolwork he was working on. And I shared something with him that I had found in notes that I had taken. And, asking him if he recalled this thing that happened in high school. I mean, I don't know if you want the story, but if we have time for that.
Brian
And how
says,
he was.
go for it. Because again, I think in the stories, sometimes the language detracts from the stories. So yes, if you have a story to tell, tell it. And he's shaking his head.
Yeah, it's important to share that stuff.
Okay, so I mean, I can read you the notes, so my son, I went to drop him off at school one morning, like I always did in high school. And so he must have been 14, 15, something like that. And he was very, I just knew he was off. Like I knew, and the night before, like I knew he was off. And that morning, instead of dropping him off in the school line, he said, "Can you go park for a minute?" And I'm like, "Oh, here we go. Here it comes." And he reached into his backpack and he handed me an envelope. So the envelope was addressed to me, my first name, not mom. And he had said, I want to spend more time with my dad. And I said, okay, well, let's talk about this tonight, blah, blah, blah. So, so the day goes on, the night goes on, and I respond. Can I read this?
Yeah.
Okay. So I respond to his father. I said, my hope is that you've taken the last few days to reconsider yet another of your heinous acts of contempt from Thursday, March 9th. Your cowardly manipulation of that's what you're teaching. That's what you're teaching our son, that what you do to me and him is normal behavior. Is this what you want me to believe occurred? Dad, I'm not happy with the schedule. I want to have more time with you. And you would say, well, you should write that in a letter and address that letter to my name and the envelope too. Date it March 1st and give it to her Thursday morning, March 9th, before you go to school. Let me know what happens. We'll proceed with our plan and come to my house after school. I'll tell your mom I didn't know anything about the letter. It'll be fine. I said, there is no way that your therapist would have had anything to do with that letter. And I'm sure whomever is advising you on actions that you take would not be a therapist. That is blatantly obvious. I knew something was coming as our son was very anxious in my presence Wednesday evening, although we enjoyed a great night together as usual. I could tell there was something up with him. I'm his mother. That's my power. So when he asked me to park before I dropped him off at school, I knew something was up, and he became anxious and spoke words that seemed rehearsed and not genuine and proceeded to pull out an envelope from his backpack and hand it to me. I told him that I also had an issue with the schedule and that we would discuss it later that night and that I would read the letter when we got home and we're together and have a great day and all that. So you went through all that and didn't think to inform our son that there's a court order in place and any changes need to be done through the court. First, we would need to contact my child's attorney, B, file a petition with the court. I said, wow, But no, you told him to write a letter. Why? Because you are a bullying, manipulative, cowardly shell of a man. This is how you parent our son. This is how you're guiding him through adolescence and preparing him for adulthood by not being honest and not following rules and putting him in the middle, putting more stress on him. If our son had a problem with the schedule, that's something for you to deal with, not him. He's the child. You're the parent. There is a court order in place. We've been in and out of court the last 10 years. And that you wouldn't understand that we've been following rules for 10 years is beyond my comprehension. I feel very strongly that you continue to live in a delusional state. Now that I've reread through the transcript of the doctor's testimony, I see exactly the things she was describing in your current and past actions. You asked for the evaluation, you got it. Only it backfired on you, and we were able to present it to the judge as evidence. That report is filed, and you know it, and I know it. How a judge could award custody to a parent, or should I say a man, or should I say a person with paranoid personality disorder who was delusional, could not keep thoughts straight and chronological, and was anxious and belligerent to the healthcare professional who was evaluating him. Crazy, right? Do you remember having this conversation on the phone with your father in 2009? I don't even care about custody because when he's 13, he'll come live with me anyway. Oh, I do. Fun days at the farmhouse. You had a child with the wrong woman if you thought you were going to be able to treat me and him the way your father treated you and your mother. I own you. I know everything about you that you don't want anybody to know.
I never know you. I didn't know you did that.
How about that?
Hey, cathartic.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I think using, I mean, I want to say 100 things. I'm glad you did it. And whether you delivered it or not, because he
Oh, it went right on the portal. Yes, went right on the portal. And are you ready for the response?
Oh, no. Go.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Oh, we never went to trial, so none of that is true.
Mm.
So he's trying, him and his partner were trying to tell me that evaluation meant nothing and was not valid because we didn't go to trial.
Well, you and I discussed that his partner, you don't trade up when he totally owned her and manipulated her, and they became let's lighten the load. What did they become? Swingers.
Yeah, they're swingers. Yeah. That was a Mother's Day gift from my son to me.
Yeah. Yeah, the son's aware, and just gives him
mortified.
a little fodder. We're not talking out of we're not making this shit. You can't make this shit up. I think this was wonderful. I think you just did a tremendous service to a lot of men and women and everything in between that struggles in partnerships. And, it's coming out. Covert abuse is coming out, but it's not like overt abuse. It's horrendous. Right. And no offense to overt abuse. I say this from time to time. The people who have had physical and sexual abuse never get to the covert aspects. They're caught in survival. The covert aspects will set your soul free, but fuck, is it hard? It's hard. This is hard.
Yep.
It's the hardest thing there is, looking at yourself. Are you comfortable ending here, taking a break? And I want you to stay on with me because I want to have a little fun in the next segment. Is Dad okay? I can send him. I can send you a quick picture of my tits to put on the phone and keep him occupied for.
Oh, he's in there cursing at Laramie or what's the other? The Ponderosa. One or the other.
All right, I've got to make a tinkle, and we'll come back.
Okay.
Make a tinkle.
Yep, I'm here.
Thank you for listening and supporting Natural Born Redhead. If you follow the bouncing balls, please like and subscribe. If you know someone interested in sparing others grief and inciting joy, message me on Facebook or reach out via my website. Natural Born Redhead. Jay Ma.